The mysteries of the Easter week. Very heartily welcome to our presentation on the mysteries of this great festivity in Christianity and what it has to do with our spiritual progress, progress of mankind, but especially our individual progress and understanding what kind of event is surrounded around this mystery. I think you are very much welcome for this presentation of Gnosis Deutschland and Gnosis Netherlands. We do this to spread the message of Gnosis around the world, and we do this in different languages. And now you're very much welcome in the English language. And so today when we transmit this conference, 3 weeks to the Easter festivity and the Western Christian calendar. As you know, there are different kinds to measure this time in different dominations of Christianity. They all are more around the spring equinox, which now has already passed 10 days from now on, seen. And we'll see what is this relation between these events. So, as you know, or as you may know, or will see, we will have different conferences on topics of esoteric interests from our Gnostic movement, from the Gnosis in Europe, especially from our group in Deutschland and in Netherlands. So when we talk about the mysteries of the Easter week, each one of these events nowadays even are not aware what is the origin of this festivity. As in most countries, there are at least 1 or 2 days, 2 or sometimes 3 days, like in Germany, off from work. But in fact, it is a cosmic drama that is commemorated and festivity. So when we talk about Gnosis, we have talked in other conferences about this theme, and we'll talk about this again. What does Gnosis mean? Gnosis, being a word of Greek origin, means transferred into modern-day English, more or less knowledge. So not only knowing things from the mind, but really knowledge based on experience. Much more ancient than the Greek philosophy. But we connected with these expression Gnosis. Gnosis, some may know that there were Gnostic groups after the event we are talking about now, the resurrection of the Christ and the development of Christianity. But this is a teaching that is timeless. We had this teaching in all the different epochs of mankind. And even so nowadays, it is still there. It is again now in a formed way. And that is a teaching that has been transferred in our time by Samael Aun Weor, so that we can use this knowledge and the experience connected with this knowledge in our time. But it's in knowledge that is also deeply connected with Hermetism. And so Gnosis is a word that is also used in the Greek temple in Delphi. And then there was this saying, "Man, know thyself, and will know the gods of the universe." So, notice the Adon, know yourself. And this does mean that knowing oneself does mean that we also know what is the world, what is the universe, and what are the divine forces around us, what are the gods. And for the Gnostics, these gods and divinity is all around us, and which is more important, in us. And this is Hermetic saying, going back to Hermes Trismegistus, as above, so below, as below, so above. And this also confers to the teaching of Easter. The Easter festival is connected to the cycle of the sun, the annual cycle of the sun. In the northern hemisphere, it is that in the around the 21st, 24th of December, are the shortest days and the longest nights. And now with the spring equinox, we had the that the time and night and time were nearly the same. And in the summer solstice, the day will be the longest, and then going back to the winter solstice, through the uh, autumnal equinox, then again back to the um, winter solstice. And this is connected to the passing of the sun in the northern hemisphere, and it is the other way around on the southern hemisphere. But now we refer to this event on the northern hemisphere because this is the region where the cosmic drama of the Christ of Yeshua Panchela took place. Samael Aun Weor says, "The sun-child is born the 24th of December in order to dawn on the 25th. It is crucified in the spring equinox in order to give life to everything that exists." This is saying that this event is really connected to the astronomical path of the Earth and the Sun. And the Sun, in this sense, not meaning a physical entity, but real meaning a divine force, the solar logos. And when we talk about the sun child, we say that the sun has a life cycle in this path over the horizon, from beginning in the winter solstice, around which we celebrate the nativity of Christ, to the spring equinox, when the cycle finishes, insofar as there is the death and the resurrection of the Christ. When we talk about the Christ, we not only mean Jesus the Christ or Christ Jesus, because always in the history of mankind there have been Christ. Different cultures, different religions have and had and will have Christ, that are messengers from the heavenly forces. He's the Son. He's the Son, saying the Son, as we say, the Son of Man, so he's the Son of God. And he's coming out of the sun. So to say that our physical sun is a symbol of this solar logos. And the solar logos is rising with the cycle of the sun. And when we talk about the solar logos, we have the other gods, Horus, Mithras, Quetzalcoatl, Heracles, Krishna, and others. We have also, for instance, in the Germanic mythology, Baldur. And these are all beings that refer to and were original human beings who self-realized themselves and went a path that we call the path of the Christ. And in all these mythologies, you will see that these human beings were prodigies. They were extraordinary from the power and intelligence, but also had a very difficult life. They had challenges before them, like the Heracles. They had obstacles, they had enemies, and they all, in the end, had to suffer and to die and be born again. So we can say that the Christ is not conformed to the Christian belief in the narrower sense, but the Christ is there. But the extraordinary thing about Jesus the Christ is that his path of Christification has been done on the public eyes. So around from his 30 years on, there was a short time when we have a lot of reports about his life. And these events and these um, stories that are related to him show that he made an extraordinary path and showed the being born and self-realizing himself and being crucified in a real public manner. So that's why we call Jesus the Christ also the master of the masters, or the master of perfection, because among all these masters, he is the one who brought this on perfection in the public eye. And of course, in the story of Easter, we refer to Jesus the Christ. So we are together here with all Christianity, but Christianity in this does not only mean the Christian denominations, but all beliefs that relate to this extraordinary being that is the Christ. But when we talk today about Jesus the Christ, we can see how this extraordinary life and death shows us a teaching. It's really like a lecture in many parts done on the street for the people that lived in this time and took part in his progress. But very shortly, because some of you may ask for this, Easter, where does it come from? There is some teaching is saying that the name of Easter, or in German it's Ostern, is related to a queen of fertility, Eostra or Stara. And to be very frank, it's not very sure if it's happened like that in a historic sense. Of course, we have to be, as Master Samael says, we have not simply to believe things, we really have to explore things. And what we see is that there are some indications that there was this divine figure or this goddess, but we don't know what is exactly the relations. But what is very obvious that all cultures that were connected to the passing of the sun, to agriculture, were very much aware and very much relying on this coming back of nature, of vegetation, of this fertility, of the feeling of intense longing, sexual longing in this time, so that all nature is pressing. And what is behind this is that, so it is not a wrong message when we talk about this divine figure, because we have to know, and it's important to say that there's always a female principle behind that. If we see Jesus the Christ as a male person, but here in this way, it's not. We're not talking about the personality Yeshua Panchira, the human being that made this extraordinary path, but we talk about the Christ. And whereas the Christ, there are also two other forces. That is, of course, the Father and the Holy Ghost, as we talk about in Christianity and the Holy Trinity. And we have to see that when we talk about the Holy Ghost, behind this is always a feminine principle. We have to say a feminine principle is always to be there so that we can be creation. So we talk about the holy, the positive and the negative, or can also say the male and the female, but also the third force, this is the reconciliation. But it has always to be there, these three forces, and always there has to be this feminine force. And when we talk about a fertility goddess in this time, we say, yeah, that is Mother Nature. Of course, she's also there, and she gives us her richness, her voluptuousness in this time, and it is part of that, because that is what is the setting where the Christ does rise, because the female force, or we can also say the Holy Mother, is always there to help the Christ. We have on one side the Mother Nature, which different levels, which is one side a force that is not really interested in our spiritual well-being, only in our physical progress. But there's also there the feminine force, the Holy Mother, Mary, Isis, that are these forces that is really there to help us on our progress and to accompany the Christ. So hail to the divine femininity here, divine feminine. So when we go back to the Easter week, we have to discern between the historic Christ and the inner Christ. When we read the Bible and the different stories told about these events, we say, okay, obviously there was a historic figure of the Christ, of Yeshua Panchira. I think most scholars that are not in Gnosis, they also agree that there was such a person that suffered in this way. Maybe different persons who were related, but there was really physical history behind it. But this one thing is a historic Christ, and this historic Christ, the science is talking about, the theology, historic science, and saying we want to invest this in the way of modern science, which is okay, but is only partly helpful. It's something we should look on, but it's not the kind of knowledge we are looking at Gnosis. And the Christ we're looking for in Gnosis is the inner Christ. As I said, we relate to the principle of Hermetism, that is saying, as below, so above, as below, as above, so below. And so we have to say that there is a Christ in us, because we have to see that the psychological constitution of man is a very complex thing. And what we have to do on our work is to help our Christ to rise. So, as we once talked, or when we talk about nativity, and we made a conference about this as well, we said that it's important that the Christ has not been born, well, maybe it's not more than 2,000 years ago in Bethlehem, but that is Christ is born in us. And that is the important part of this, more important part of this story. So even many Christians nowadays, they say, oh, we like to remember Jesus the Christ because he was a good man and he was someone bringing us an important message. But it is only a part of it. The important part of it is it's really related to our inner progress and to the progress of this of the cosmic drama we have each year. So it is not something that once happened, but a thing that's happening now in nature and as well in ourselves. And what we have to do is to make space for this event to happen in us. So the Christ, Yeshua Panchira, in the Bible also showed us this. When we read the Bible, it is important from a Gnostic point that we have not to see everything literally, and that we have to look what are the parts that have acknowledged for ourselves, for our own spiritual progress. And the Yeshua Panchira, so we read in the Bible, in Matthew's, as he said, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. So he himself says that it's not a thing that we have to believe him or rely on the fact that since he died for us, we are saved. We ourselves have to take up the cross. is to say we have to do ourselves a work and not just relate to the Christ as a historic figure, but really help the Christ to rise in ourselves. And as Yeshua Panchira said, uh, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. And when we talk about the Christ, and in this relation, Jesus the Christ, we have to see that he was with a group of disciples. The core of it were the 12 apostles. And you see many stories in the Bible that he was always with this group of people. And he was very close to them, and they were close to him. And it is not just a collection of people being around him. We know that the Christ had many more disciples, actually also many female disciples, like his mother Mary, Mary Magdalena, Martha, Salome, and they were disciples and others that listened to his teaching. But these 12 apostles were extremely close to him. And it's not just by chance, because this is also related to the inner constitution of man. We have these 12 forces within us, and they are related to another esoteric fact, so to say, that there is with this influence of the zodiac. So we say that the zodiacs, the 12 zodiacs, correspond to 12 apostles. And we in ourselves have this system, and we can relate to the system and use it, and use the forces of these masters, they all were masters too, to do some spiritual progress. And we all know that the apostles, they abandoned the Christ at the end, in the night before his crucifixion, for his passion. And so to say, but they were separate from him. Were they traitors? No, they were not. They were men who were not yet that perfect. They had to do this work. They had to do this experience. We know the story of Saint Peter, who was a very close and important disciple of Jesus. And Jesus told him in the night of the supper, "You will deny me 3 times." And as he did in this night, he was, of course, very sad about this and cried. And this is because he had to do also this progress, this procedure to perfectionate him. And each of these apostles does this in a very specific way. That is a topic that we also may talk about an hour. But each of these apostles has a specific value, a specific knowledge that he can teach us. So, though they were not the masters of perfection, they were needed to finalize this work of the Christ. And the Christ, for these last days, when he went to Jerusalem, he talked to them and said, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him over to the Gentiles, who will be mocked and flogged and crucified, and he will be raised on the 3rd day." So in this we have all the history of the passion of Christ and his death, and also his resurrection. So it was a prophecy in itself, and obviously it was like that. The apostles were a bit confused about this message, but for the Christ, for Jesus, it was clear that he had to go on to Jerusalem and really to put himself in danger, because when he went there, when they were the high priests and the Pharisees who were behind him, and if he did any mistake there, they would get him and put him to prison and likely kill him. He knew that. But he knew it was now the time to go there to, as he said, that that this history of the Son of Man has to be finalized. Because we have to say the Son of God is at the same time the Son of Man. Isn't that interesting? Because the Son of God, he came here down to the world to be a man. And it's actually the same with the other Christ. They were not, to say, super powerful beings who were hovering over humanity. They were all ready to live among the people. For instance, like the uh, Germanic god Odin, he walked among the people like a impressive but a human person. And so all these sun gods, they mixed with men. So they were all also son of man. And so to say that the Christ has to finalize his work to be an example to to mankind. So this story always has to be fulfilled by the Christ. And so that's why Jesus said, now we have to go to Jerusalem. Yeah, we have the Easter week, and the Easter week in itself starts with Maundy Thursday, and it's Gründonnerstag. It's here in Germany. So that is the night when when Jesus came together with the apostles for the Last Supper. And many very important messages of the Christ are related to this event, to this last gathering. And one of it, or most important, was of course that he gave first time bread and wine, the Eucharisty. That is going back to the Holy Supper. That he cleaned the feet of his apostles, of his disciples, say, to show his humility, but he was also willing to clean his apostles, to help them to purify themselves, to be ready for the great work. And also that he talked about that some of them will be a traitor. Not the first time, but we talked about this. Some of them would be a traitor. That is Judas, and he has a very specific role in this. And it's also, so these are mysteries of some of the mysteries of the Easter night. We may talk about the Easter weeks. We may talk more in deep another time, but it's important to say that when we read these stories, like it is in the Bible, we have a lot of hints that the Christ was really giving himself as a sacrifice to his disciples, to mankind. And I think you all know the story what happens this night, that Christ went into the Garden of Gethsemane, prayed there, and begged God to save him, that he has to do his this terrible way. But he said also, not happens what I wish, but that your wish will happen. That he was really volunteering himself to be ready to be a sacrifice, and so that the will of God will be realized. And afterwards, when he was rejoined by his disciples, he was also joined by Judas with the guards and to get him arrested. And there is Judas, and this is the first of three traitors, because in this night and the next day we meet these three traitors: Judas, Caiaphas, and Pilatus. And each of them are related to certain parts of our own psychological constitution. Judas being the demon of passion, Pilatus the demon of the mind, and Caiaphas the demon of ill will. And so here again, it is important that we are not just talking about some historic event, but that these three personalities that appeared in the stories actually stand for three psychological factors we have all within us. Important is that these three personalities were each in their own way a traitor to Christ. Obviously, the Judas, he delivered the Christ to the one who wanted to take him prisoner and finally kill him. Caiaphas, he's the high priest who knows that this is the Christ, that is the Son of God. But he says, no, we will not accept this because it is a sacrilege. If someone coming forward with this, he has to be killed, and he will deliver him to the Romans to get him killed. So this is a demon of ill will because he knows what he's doing, but he does it. And Pilatus, he also knows that even in law, under law, Jesus is innocent, but he delivers him because of fear of the Jewish uprising, but as a cunning politician, and he finds in himself an excuse for this, the excuse of the mind, and this is some factors we have in ourselves. So we are all ready to deliver the Christ for 30 pieces of silver. We are all acting against our knowledge, against our better intentions, being following the ill will and following the whims of the mind, because the mind is always there to excuse our doings, because we always find an excuse for us, and often the excuses are accepted by humanity. But we have to be clear that all three are in themselves traitors to the Christ, and to say we are not just talking about the historical personalities, but really three psychological factors we have in ourselves. Yeah, then comes the passion, the pass, and the cross. We know that the Christ, after he was delivered to the Romans, and Pilatus was ready to get him executed in this cruel way of crucifixion, that he was maltreated by the Roman guards, and he had to wear his cross, like it was part of this cruel kind of execution, to this place of the execution, the Mount Golgotha. And also here we have a very interesting symbol, or say also force in itself, the cross. We have to understand that the cross is not here because it was just the way Roman people killed non-Romans in a cruel way, but it is a sign of great esoteric symbolism. You see, they have the cross of the two bars, and this is like the man, woman, and sexual unity. It's also in itself, you see, the four seasons, because it's parting the surrounding four parts. We have the foundation of this cross in the earth, so it's like something is rising out of the earth. So there is really a force in it. And so we have to relate to this cross not only just as the instrument of materium of Yeshua Panchira, but something that is symbolic for our own suffering. As we said, as Christ said, take your cross and follow me. Each of one has to carry his cross. That's the way that the Yeshua Panchira did it on his way to Golgotha. And he will be humiliated and will be despised and will break down under the weight of the cross. And of course, this is not meant in a little way that we have to do the same as some people do. There are some regions in Europe where we have this, that people are really carrying the cross. That is not necessarily to be done. What we say is that we have to be ready to take our own life seriously. And what is this? Take our life seriously is working with the three factors: to be born, to die, and to sacrifice for humanity. So to say that taking up your cross means that you have to face your own reality, and this reality expressing in our psychology is not that nice. We all have our egos, we have all our defects, and we have to work on them, on our cross, not on the cross of someone else, not even the cross on the Christ, but on our personal cross. And cross meaning in this, what we have to carry in this life. And so that is the Geshe Panchira demonstrating to us on the street when he's going to Golgotha. And then we have the actual execution, the suffering of Yeshua Panchira at the cross. And we also have to see that this suffering has to be there. And also we have to see the suffering in front of the resurrection. Yeshua Panchira already talked earlier about this, that he will be resurrected. So some may say, and other religions say, but it makes a sense of it. When he is the Son of God, why has he to suffer? Why has to die? Why not? Can he resurrect directly? What is the sense of it? But the thing is that the path of the Christ is that a being that has overnatural, overhuman power is ready to take up this cause that is the cause of a simple man with flesh and bones, who can die, who does suffer, and that he's ready to do that. And so that's why he had to suffer. And he left us messages. You know, perhaps the 7 last words of the Christ at the cross. It's also a knowledge in itself. We could talk for an hour. But we have to say that has to be part of the Christ, that he has to suffer the path of the Christ, that he has to suffer, and that he has to die. That's also important. We have to say that, and that is what Christianity, any serious Christian has to say, when I'm a Christian, I believe that he actually died and actually resurrected physically, and not saying in some way he swooned or not really died because he was the Son of God. No, he really died. And so he was bewept by his mother, by his loves, by his friends, by Mary Magdalena, by his most close disciples, because they rightly said he is dead, and they expected him to get away left him forever. And so that's why you have this mourning and you have this desperation. And you also have to say that even Yeshua Panchira himself had the dread of that. He knew he was to die, and that is not something that is a metaphysical thing. That is something dreadful, and maybe there was a glimpse, and he also had to glimpse this despair and this glimpse of anxiety, if it's just a passing thing over, because this is what the man is. He is anxious, because can he be sure to be resurrected? But he got resurrected. And so if you say this is a process, and when we talk about this process, in the end, it's a psychological process. So we have to die in ourselves. So to say, we have to give up our vanities, our false personality, we talk in Gnosis, all that we keep dear, to gain that which is dearest to us, our soul and our true being. So that's why, in a certain way, we all have to pass through this death. And that's why we talk in Gnosis about these 3 factors. We talk again a moment later. But now come to the resurrection. That is the center of the Easter fast, that he was laid down dead and be mourned and left in a grave, in a cave. and that in the morning there are different variations of the story, but basically it is that Mary Magdalena, either alone or with one of the other disciples, came to look for the grave and perhaps to anoint his dead body, and then to find out that he was not there, that his body was gone. And that is something also very important. We have to understand that there was an actual resurrection of the body, and we think, what kind of body is this that he can survive all this torture, all this process of a body that is so treated that it has to die. So to say that this body is not a humane body, and it's not, as Yeshua Panchira once said, it's not the flesh of Adam, it's another flesh. And this relates to the story, that to the aspects, uh, to the teaching that this kind of masters, they also change their physicality. They have a physical body, but this physical body is different. So that's why he can survive this torture and he can sustain it, but really suffering it. So we have this another picture. It relates to the story of the unbelieving Thomas. So one of his apostles who could not believe that the person the other told him was actually Jesus. So Jesus asked him or ordered him to put his hands in one of his wounds. And that is to say that Jesus was ready to give him a proof. It is very interesting. Sometimes Thomas is seen as not so strong believer or someone who may doubt the word, but actually he was a true Gnostic, because he not only wants to likes to believe some nice message he has from his friends, but he really wants to prove that this is true. So that's why the Christ offers him to put his hands in his deadly wound. So that is to say that this Christ, Yeshua Panchira, really, as a physical being, walked among his disciples again, and it's said in other relations that he died that he, after his resurrection, after his death, he lived rather more than 11 years among his disciples to teach them. So we have to say that this event is really marvelous and is related to, but it's important to say that it's not an historic, again, not as an historic event, but really something that's related to our own spiritual way. So a teaching to all humanity and also for us what a highly developed being can fulfill. That is basically a human being. Don't forget, Jesus was born as a human being, as a child, as a baby, like all of us, and he had to go away on this very specific path to really realize himself as a Christ, as a savior of the world. But savior not in the sense that because he died, we are saved, but to give us a chance to work on ourselves and give us an advice how to work on ourselves. It's meaning not, of course, we all have to literally go the same path as Yeshua Panchira. Each has his own way, but we all have to see in our own life where we have to be ready to die and also to be born again, because it's not a story of that. That is the special thing, because Christianity is so strong, because it's also said that someone has been stronger than their physical death, and we all can be stronger than physical death, but that he uh, uh, but that he was reborn again. To say to be resurrected in this way is also to be reborn again, to have a new life, a life on a higher level. Also, each Christ has to do a certain kind of esoteric way, kind of initiation. And the same with Yeshua Panchira. He had to do this way to get on a higher level of esoteric development. So here's a figure, someone we have to as someone we have to look for to understand the own path we should go. Not literally, but innerly, but seriously. And which kind of path is this? The one that the Gnosis recommends is the work with three factors: to die, to be born, and sacrifice to humanity. And of course, Yeshua Panchira did this in a masterly and supreme way. That, of course, is something that if masters don't achieve that easy. But it's something like um, a test on us if we understand really this story, that we are enable ourselves to do work like this. To die, to be born, and to sacrifice to humanity is meant to die in this way, die in a spiritual way, not physical, but dying. Let our old Adam, the egos, our wrong personality die, and be born again, to be ready to renew ourselves, to revolutionize ourselves, to be ready to start anew. And doing all this all day, and as also the sacrifice to humanity. Because this is not to be an egoistic thing to say that someone wants to be a superhuman person only for his own enjoyment, but it is also be together with the sacrifice to humanity. And of course, that is what Yeshua Panchira did. This was a supreme sacrifice, what he did. He was ready to die to give us all the chance to wake up ourselves to consciousness, to be saved, but not to be saved simply by being passive, but going on this work ourselves, to die, to be born, and to sacrifice to humanity. Well, until then, and all that is leaving to me is to give you a notice that you can go more profound with this teaching if you like. You can find on our website Gnostic teachings in different languages. This is still a work in progress. Of course, we have these books of Master Samael and other masters, other teachers. Master Samael in Spanish because it's the original language, but most of them in English. For their language, is partly a work in progress, but you're all invited to use this archive, this library. And also, if you are interested in deepening it, you're not only always welcome to watch these videos and other videos we will offer in the future. But also took part in courses, in personal public lectures, or also in personal courses, what we call the course of the first chamber. You can get in touch with us. So either in Germany or Netherlands, so we relate you to a Gnostic instructor, but also in other countries. So even if you're speaking the English language, either if it's your mother language or it's a language of you are accustomed to, we can also help you to find a Gnostic instructor in your countries, because we are in now most countries of the world, especially in Europe. You can contact us. So just don't hesitate in this way to contact us, and so we can provide you more profound teaching than we can give here online and publicly. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you soon. And so all left to say to me now is to say have a very nice Easter in 2025, and hope you progress on your spiritual path and your understanding and knowledge, not only theoretical knowledge, but really understanding of um, esoteric and Christian